call this meeting, the Oskaloosa City Council to order. Today is Monday, May 17th, 2021. Let's start with the invocation. Would you please pray with me?
Mayor, you're going to need to speak up if you can.
Okay. Heavenly Father, as we assemble here tonight, we're meeting together for the first time in months, face to face. We're starting to get ahead of this coronavirus thanks to the vaccines and some herd immunity, and we thank you for the blessings of the vaccines and the distribution that's been happening. We ask you for your guidance and blessing on our state and national leaders. Please bless them with a spirit of grace and cooperation as they work through many challenges. Tonight, we're here to do city business. Bills to pay, policies to approve, debt approvals, hearings to be scheduled, and other decisions to be made for the long-term future of our city. So we ask that you look down on us and those who have felt your call to be in attendance. For the council members and staff, please bless us with quiet and considerate attitudes, well-thought-out deliberations, and ultimately decisions that are best for all concerned. Please bless those in the audience and watching our broadcast, the leaders of businesses and organizations who have the vision and commitment to help the city, and the countless volunteers who are motivated to help, and informed citizens who have given us the privilege of their trust and support. Tonight, we assembled to combine the talents you've given us for the benefit of Oskaloosa, so may the words of our mouths and the meditation of our hearts be acceptable in your sight. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Okay. And we haven't done this in a while. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Moore.
Here.
Odison. Walling.
Here.
Gates.
Here.
Burnett.
Here.
Caligari.
Here.
Drost.
Here.
Okay. Moving on, next up is the opportunity for community comments. This item is reserved for anyone in the public who would like to speak before the mayor and the city council. Asked to keep statements brief. It's time limited to no more than 3 minutes. Any questions are to be asked of the city staff, council members, or the mayor prior to speaking to the full council. So that way concerns can be properly researched and answered away from the meeting. Comments are to be directed to the mayor and city council only. Is there anyone who would like to speak tonight? I should also mention if there's anyone on Zoom to use the raise your hand function and you'll be recognized. So at this point, is there anyone who would care to speak? Okay, seeing none, we'll close that and move on. The next item up is the adoption of the consent agenda. These are all items that are considered routine in nature and will be acted upon as a single motion. I did want to draw the council's attention to a few of them listed. Item G, which is a resolution scheduling a public hearing having to do with levying a special assessment against private property for snow removal. That's going to be on June 21st. There's also a resolution to set public hearings for levying special assessments for nuisance abatements at 1011 South 8th Street and at 201 3rd Avenue East and at 321 North C Street. Those three public hearings are all going to be on June 21st as well. With that, do we have a motion of support for the consent agenda?
So move. Second.
Okay. Any discussion on the consent agenda?
I just had a quick question on the one on snow removal.
Okay.
Any reason why this is coming to us now? I mean, I know circumstances through the year.
So, Mayor and Council, obviously, we don't like to do snow abatements and assessments this late in the year. It's just a matter of the department processing the invoices and getting them into the system. And
Okay.
so that's the main driver, is just the lag time from that processing of the invoices.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Burnett.
Yes.
Caligari.
Yes.
Drost.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Odison.
Yes.
Walling.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Moving on to the regular agenda, item A. This is to consider a resolution authorizing the vacation and sale of a 72-foot by 16-foot section of the east-west alley that is adjacent to 1213 3rd Avenue West. Staff received the alley vacate request from Glenn Schultes, the owner of 1213 3rd Avenue West, for the east-west alley that's adjacent to their property. They would like to purchase the land to make their property larger, and the alley is located in a residential R2 zoning district. Staff conducted a survey of property owners with direct access to the alley and to the utility companies. 2 property owners were surveyed. 1 response was received, which did not oppose the vacation of the alley. The utility companies have indicated no conflicts. Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed this request at their meeting on May 4th and recommended by a vote of 4-0 to approve the street vacate and sale. Staff is recommending that we open the public hearing, receive comments, and then vote accordingly. And so at this time, I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would care to speak to this? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion of support for the vacation and sale of the alley?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I may have missed it. What does he want to have the alley for? What's he gonna do with it?
Expand his property is what I understood.
Yeah, expanding my property,
What does that mean? I mean, just have bigger yard, you mean, or you gonna?
bigger yard, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Not necessarily want another building or anything like that, or,
Not at the present time. no,
gotcha.
no, no.
All right.
Any other thoughts or comments? Roll call, please.
Allegary,
Yes.
Dross,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Addison,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Burnett,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Getting to item B, this is to consider.
You bet.
Thank you. Consider a resolution instituting proceedings to take additional action for the authorization of a loan and disbursement agreement and the issuance of not to exceed $3 million of sewer revenue capital loan notes. This is the time and place for the public hearing on the matter of authorizing the loan and disbursement agreement by and between the city and the Iowa Finance Authority, issuing the not to exceed $3 million of sewer revenue capital loan notes to evidence the obligations of the city. And then also to provide funds to pay costs of acquisition, construction, reconstruction, extending, remodeling, improving, repairing, and equipping all are part of the municipal sewer system, including construction of a combined wastewater treatment facility and related improvements, and that notice of the proposed action by the City Council to institute proceedings for the authorization of the loan and disbursement agreement and the issuance of the notes. That's all been published pursuant to the provisions of sections 384.24A and also 384.83 of the Code of Iowa. And so I'll open the public hearing at this time. Is there anyone who would like to speak to the issuance of these revenue notes? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion of support for this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Dross,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Addison,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Burnett,
Yes.
Allegary,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Next item up is the resolution adopting proposals for the employee benefit and insurance programs for the fiscal year. Brad Ryman from North Risk Partners, I believe he has a presentation for us. And so rather than take away his thunder, I'll give you the floor, Brad.
Good evening, everybody. Mayor,
Evening.
council.
Good evening.
Appreciate it. I just want, Mike, can I go ahead and share my screen?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Everybody see that?
Pretty soon. Yep.
Everybody, good?
Yep.
All right. Okay, this evening, I know that most of you probably have reviewed the city council communication, but I just want to reiterate it with kind of the hard numbers that are in front of us. This evening, I'm just going to let everybody know that the voluntary vision plan had a 3% increase for the employees. The voluntary dental renewal, there was no change. The group term life and AD&D renewal, there was no change, just an FYI. The cost to the city is $2,257.92. The group voluntary life renewal, there was no change. The flexible spending account renewal, there was no change, and the cost of that to the city is $712.80 a year. The Cobra administration renewal, there was no change to the rate, but an indication that the premium for that on an annual basis is $1,385. And then the HIPAA compliance renewal had a 2.8%, and that's only $111.36 a year. So those are all annual costs that are mentioned here on those 4 items up and down. Are there any questions in regards to those lines of coverage before we move into the medical coverage?
Nope.
All right, we'll move on. This page kind of puts a lot of the hard numbers into place that Amy and Mike presented in the City Council communication. Just an FYI so everybody understands, the city is at risk for $50,000 per members on the plan. That's, I guess you could say, belly buttons on the plan. So the first $50,000 is the city's liability. Anything above that, you have insurance to cover that. And it does cover the medical and the prescription drugs, and it is a 4812, so any claims that incurred 36 months prior to this last year and in this year will be covered under the specific for last year's and going forward. The claim fee that Wellmark, the utilization review, and our compensation, which if you noticed in there, our compensation is $32 per PM per employee per month, so that's in there.
But
We did not
excuse me,
increase our
please.
cost. Wellmark just had a slight increase in theirs.
Can we stop?
Yeah.
Hang on a second, Brad.
Brad?
Yes.
How do we see what he sees
Yeah.
on the screen? Because, I mean, we can't read that.
It's
Do
not
we
in
have
there.
that in our packet or anything, or?
Yeah, no.
I don't
that is-
see
I
it.
couldn't find it.
I don't see
I
it.
did see that somewhere. Where did I see that at, Mike? 'Cause
It was emailed out to the council on Friday, I believe.
yeah, I have seen it. I went through and looked at it. I don't have it in front of me, but I did
Oh,
look
that's
at
right.
it. so-
Right. Maybe
Brad,
I'm-
can you zoom in
In your
on that page
comments,
a little more,
they come in
please?
Mike's comments.
I didn't see it. I just must have
It
completely
came
missed
from
it.
Stephanie.
Is
Oh.
that better?
Yeah, that's
That helps.
better.
Yeah, can you take her one more
You
step?
want me to do it bigger?
Yes.
Yeah, one more.
I didn't get it.
How's that?
And then
hopefully
slide
I
it
can
over,
move
yeah.
I gotta move it. Oh, just a minute here. How's that?
There we go.
Perfect.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Everybody can read it now?
Yep.
See it.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
I
Do you want me to
didn't know.
start over from the beginning?
No.
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 All
We
right.
trust you. We just wanted to see
We'll
it.
make it
Trust
easy
but
now.
verify.
Okay. The medical claim fee, which includes the utilization fee as well as our compensation, which our compensation is in there. It's $32 per employee per month, and that's included in last year's and this year, and there was no change to that. The pharmacy benefit manager, which is the contract that Wellmark has with Caremark, they collect $1.10. The network access fee did not change, $6.95. It was $6.95, no change. So the overall administration fees, if you add those up on an annual basis, only went up 1.86%. Now remember I talked about this $50,000 spec. The cost for that, single and family, it's a composite rate of $373.99 last year. This year it went up $425.70. And to give you an idea of why that went up, because after we look at things, it doesn't look like you had such a bad year. A lot of would be Walmart's generic response, which it's a leverage trend, which their leverage trend was is running about 18%. So this one's yours is at 13%. The aggregate insurance, which we haven't had an aggregate claim in a long time, but that covers any claims that accumulate under the $50,000 to a certain point of 125% of expected, and that's $11.05. That did not change. So the reinsurance rate went from estimated at $212,542.08 to $241,086 for a 13.43% increase in the reinsurance rates. So if you add the reinsurance rates and the administration cost, you get the annual fixed cost going from $260,290.08 to $289,722.06 for 11.31% increase. An FYI, Blue Cross Blue Shield does not expect, based on last year's experience, does not expect your claim to change any different. You're looking at this, it is, you're reading it right, it's almost identical as what it was last year. An FYI for those who would like to know, to date, based on what has come in on March 31st, divide that by that many years and annualize it, it's projected at $453,969, which is well below, about 130%, $130,000 below what they even expected to, not at the maximum, which is this number down here, but expected. So that's, and then, for example, this didn't change at all either. So if we go down here to projected expected, Walmart expects when you add in all the costs, 817 projected at 846. That's the expected. Whether it ends up that be will a lot dictate by what the claims are for this following year. And just an FYI, the plan does not have a laser on it, meaning that if one of the employees should have a severe claim, Blue Cross Blue Shield won't come in and say, we're going to bid everybody at $50,000, but we're going to raise Johnny Jones over there, we're going to raise his specific to $150,000. That is not, Blue Cross Blue Shield does not have that on their plan, so you don't have to worry about them lasering the plan. However, they do not have a rate cap on their premiums, so they could make it up in the premium as well, but they don't have a laser. And then one other thing to note here, all these numbers up here, this 450,000 out of claims net, it does not include the amount of rebates that came in from prescriptions for $33,000 that's come in this last year. Projected, what it'll be. It's not quite that much yet, but we've got another one or two coming in. So, does anybody have any questions? A lot of this information that I've just presented should have been summarized in the City Council communication that was distributed along with the packets. Does anybody have any questions on any of this page?
Nope.
I guess all in all, last comment would be it's a nice renewal. I did want to note that if you go to the next section, which I hope it's still big, yeah, we have put in there the history. For those of you who are new or would like to know how it fits in for the last couple of years, there's one thing I want to point out. Let's see, yeah, right here. If you notice here, here's what in 2019-20. This is what we just passed. What it's going to be for this year in 2020, the 2021 rate. I want to scroll down here, and a couple things I want to note. And Mike, you might be able to explain this, but last year in 19 to 20, the employee count was at 59, and right now it's averaging at 48. Now, when we go to the bottom down here, we look at what is our cost per employee per year. Well, if you look at this, it's pretty, 12, 13,000, 12,000, and then it jumps to 15. A lot of that has to do with this number here being a lower number. So obviously you have the same number divided by a lower number, you're going to get a bigger number at the bottom. So Mike, you want to explain possibly what that might be, because I think you indicated they might have a couple opening positions, is that correct?
Yeah, Mayor and Council, that would be what we predicted as the employee count plus any beneficiaries, so or family members. So we have a number of openings in the police department, and then we also transferred over wastewater employees to the water department. So between that, there's been a decreased count in the number of participants.
So when this gets set up, it's based on what we estimate the employees to be. Now, and throughout the year, actual doesn't matter. So I don't understand why, unless what I just said, why we have 48 employees, and you're saying the cost remains the same whether we have 48 or 58.
Right. So Brad, they're bidding it on they're bidding on our experience, not just the number of employees.
Correct. Well, again, when they do these ratings, they don't know if this has just happened to be a COVID drop Or is it a trend? Is it because of what you said? Because they based on pretty much when they take the picture, and they really look at this back in December and January of last year when they do the calculation. December last year or January of this year when they do the calculation. So the employee count may have been a little bit higher at that point in time. I see this a lot happening in a lot of companies because of the COVID drop as well. So I just wanted everybody to understand when you look at this number, everybody would start getting frightened. And because that's a key number to look at, but one of the reasons it's causing that is this number here.
So did I understand correctly on your previous sheet, you said that the claims were going to come in at about what we expected them to come in at?
I think he didn't hear you, so you're gonna have to.
I can't hear it.
On the previous page, do the claims come in at about what you expected them to be? It looked like they would be about the same as they have been over the last few years. The claims, the dollar amount.
Why did you hear me, but they didn't hear you?
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't.
Do I need to get
I
near
can hear
the-
Mike really clear, but I can't hear the council members. Maybe Diane, can you hear the council members?
Not very well.
All right.
Maybe it's the machine that doesn't like us.
I can come over there if I need to. Okay. All right, can you hear me now?
No.
No?
That's
No?
odd.
That is amazing.
Can you hear me now?
Not real well.
Oh,
Wow, okay.
Diane, are we on the same page?
We have a failure.
Okay, how about now?
No.
Can you hear me now?
He's picking up a mic from somewhere else.
I can hear that. It's not super clear, but I can hear that.
It's not real clear.
Well, I'm gonna ask Mike
Hold on, here
then.
you go.
Maybe,
Mike can maybe ask.
maybe you can answer the
Try
question.
that now. Can you hear them now?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Oh.
Wow, okay, cool.
What a wizard.
Okay, yeah, technology.
I'm a moron. That's what that was.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
I had it on the wrong setting the whole time.
No, that's okay, great, so I appreciate that.
I can hear really good now.
All right, good, all right.
Okay, start over, Brad.
On the previous, yeah, no, on the previous screen, I'm just, this whole thing with number of employees kind of bothers me because I would have thought it would have gone down. So, did you say the claims were approximately the same?
If you look at last year's claims, here we are, 442 versus, wait a minute here, I gotta scroll to the left here. Actual paid claims, year-to-date claims, yeah. That number right there. 442 versus 453.
Okay, and that's with 10 less employees, so that's kind of concerning. I guess, to look at that number, that's saying, well, we're great. I mean, our claims are about the same, but it's with 10 less employees.
Right. Well, again, remember, it's I should say an average for that period of time, but I guess if you one thing to look at, if you look at that number and that number stays at 48, yeah, that's an issue.
Okay.
But if you're putting that amount of employees back on, that's going to change again.
Thank you.
Any other comments from council? Questions? Okay. Anything else that you want to talk about, Brad?
No, the only comment I would make is we really don't know what's going to happen now that COVID is pretty much calmed down, not quite, but are people going to start heading back to the elective surgeries, knees, colonoscopies, those kind of things that kind of people put off through the COVID or couldn't even get in to see anybody. So again, it's still out whether we're going to see a uptick. I haven't seen much of it yet, but it could occur here in the next 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
That's the only comment I would have about the renewal, or what's going on with the claims. So.
Okay. Appreciate that. So thank you very much for your presentation.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Do we have a motion of support for the resolution adopting the employee benefit and insurance program for fiscal 22?
So move.
Second.
Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Moore? Yes. Addison?
Yes?
Walling?
Yes.
Yates?
Yes.
Burnett?
Yes?
Caligari?
Yes.
Drop?
Yes.
Okay. That passes. Next item is the item D, having to do with the resolution approving and authorizing in form of interim loan and disbursement agreement by and between the City of Oskaloosa and the Iowa Finance Authority, authorizing and providing the issuance and securing the payment of $2,850,000 of sewer revenue capital loan notes, anticipation project notes, Series 2021 of the City of Oskaloosa under the provision of the Code of Iowa, providing for method of payment of the notes. The planning and design notes have a 0% interest rate, no fees, no minimum or maximum amounts, and can be rolled into an SRF construction loan later. The proceeds are going to be used to finance engineering and design of the new wastewater treatment facilities. This resolution approves the interim loan and a disbursement agreement, also sets forth a number of covenants and agreements on the part of the city with respect to repayment of the loan. The project note is secured by the proceeds of the sewer revenue capital loan notes that the city is going to issue as a permanent financing for the project. I should note that a copy of the loan and disbursement agreement is available at the city clerk's office and will be available at the city council meetings at this meeting. Staff is recommending approval. Do we have a motion of support?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this?
Mayor and council, typically this is the item that would follow that public hearing, and
Yeah.
they were just a little bit out
I
of order,
wondered
so
about that.
apologize for that.
Yep. So, roll call, please.
Addison,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Burnett,
Yes.
Caligiuri,
Yes.
Dross,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Moving on to item E. This is to consider a resolution adopting the new and updated City of Oskaloosa position descriptions and salaries. So, every employee position needs to have a written position description that sets forth the duties, qualifications, essential functions, reporting relationship, and other key elements of each position. The position descriptions should be reviewed to make sure they accurately reflect current duties, responsibilities, and requirements of the position. This item adds newly created and/or updated position descriptions for the following positions with the associated proposed salary schedules and an updated salary schedule for the administrative assistant 2 position. And so we've got firefighter for the day, code enforcement officer, police sergeant, and police lieutenant. And then the effective dates of June 21st of 2021, July 1 of 2021, etc. And so the financial impact is expected to be very small and could even be revenue neutral due to holding some positions vacant and/or the partial reallocation of other salary expenses to other funds. Do we have a motion of support for this?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any discussion on this?
Well, would this one just only include the police since we were talking about the code enforcement?
This one gets into the firefighter and, well, firefighter, code enforcement, police sergeant, police lieutenant.
Right, but earlier in our discussions.
So, Mayor, Council, this item addresses the reorganization memo that was sent out. So it gives me kind of the green light to do what's necessary to move forward with that plan.
But you know what I'm talking about, with the earlier discussions we had about which route to go.
Yeah, so obviously, again,
Okay.
we during the study session for people at home, we had a study session at 5 o'clock, and we talked about the reorganization,
Right.
and this doesn't preempt those discussions. I would come back to you to talk about code enforcement by contract or
Yeah.
hiring a position.
All right.
This is as it is currently.
This is for me to, as that memo I sent to you, yes. yeah,
Okay,
yep.
just want to make sure. That's it.
Okay. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Walling,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Burnett,
Yes.
Caligiuri,
Yes.
Dross,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Addison,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Moving on to item F. This is to consider approval of pay application number 12. It's in the amount of $1,778,088 to Graphite Construction Group, and it has to do with payment for the Early Childhood Education and Recreation Center. And so staff has received the pay application, and it's for work done primarily associated with concrete, masonry, thermal and moisture, pool, mechanical, electrical, and utilities. Total cost breakdown to date is listed in a table for the council to see, and then also as part of the agenda. Staff also received change order 4, and that increases the contract by $25,407, having to do with additional steel decking, the mechanical, plumbing, and electrical revisions, swimsuit dryer piping, and guardrail detailing. The change order also includes an additional 15 working days to the YMCA schedule. Staff is recommending that the council approve this pay request for work completed on the Early Childhood Education and Recreation Center. And do we have a motion of support?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Well, I see we got another wrinkle. The pool contractor's a different contractor again. It just keeps happening.
Yeah, so Mayor, Councilmember Walling's correct. The sub that originally bid the work was, I knew I'd do that. Anyways, they went bankrupt. That's how memorable they were. And
Water's Edge.
no, Water's Edge is the engineering firm, and
no,
they're
sorry.
solid. They're
No, I'll
yeah.
tell you in a minute.
No, this is the concrete.
Rebel.
Yep, Rebel Construction. And so some of their staff have been retained by the firm out of Des Moines. The firm out of Des Moines has more experience and actually probably would be a better sub for us on this project. So we're not expecting any major issues there. There of course is a hiccup in kind of a transition period. So the probably the latest up to date, we'll have a meeting later this week, I believe, with the ownership team, the architect, and the contractor to talk about the project. But the recreation side is delayed beyond the originally anticipated completion date. We're looking into December, and quite honestly, it may even be January. But we'll see. The early education side, so the school and the YMCA daycare side, that is still on schedule. We expect to have that project portion completed in July. So there's just a lag between the early childhood education, which is a pretty straightforward construction, and they got that buttoned up real quick. That was their emphasis from the beginning, because we were trying to get with the new, meet a deadline of the new school year. The recreation piece, I would say, isn't as critical as that school piece, and so again, we're having a conversation about let's do it right, let's not try to rush, don't cut corners. It's had its share of issues, and we're continuing to deal with them. So you get the reports, I send those out to you with these pay apps, so you can see there's a lot of going back and forth and check up and follow through.
Are we confident with the pools? I mean, you read Water's Edge's report there, and it's not so sparkling.
Yeah.
Are we confident that those things are going to be corrected and resolved? Or, I guess, having been through some similar projects before, is there a point where you start reducing payments or withholding payments because the work that they're billing for isn't done properly?
So for every report, there's a follow-up answer that comes with it. So Graphite should be responding to each one of those to address it. And if they're not, we're bringing those up. And we can't withhold any additional retainage by law, by contract. We can only withhold the 5%. So we wouldn't necessarily delay payments or anything like that. That's what the retainage is for. But we're having regular conversations about the pool because it's a complicated piece of the project. And Water's Edge, I would say, has done a bang-up job, staying on these things.
Well, they've got a hell of a reputation, Water's Edge. I mean, when we went into this, and they were 1 and 2, and so what you're saying, sounding like it, we're lucky we got rid of Rebel.
Well, I mean,
it
all kind of cascades down from the general all the way down, and it's not just the sub that has that responsibility, and that's a lot of the conversation. Tom, you and I have been in.
No, I know.
And you know that a lot of this is, hey, Graphite, your name is on this. Yeah, the sub is doing that work, but you should be managing this. It shouldn't be on Water's Edge to catch everything.
The conversation we had earlier about the renter and the landlord. I mean, the renter's the one with the garbage, but it's that landlord's responsibility.
But I could have missed it, but I didn't see Water Edge saying anything bad about Rebel up to today.
No, and they wouldn't call out the firm, they wouldn't call it the sub by name. They're just going to point out the defects in work or where there should be coordination. And that's the thing. Anywhere where we've had concerns, that has been ripped out and replaced. I mean, that's
Okay.
part of
That's
this.
good.
To follow up on Bob's, just reading the report, particularly the pool one, there was a large concern. Now that report's also 30 days old.
Right.
Am I have all the items, or are you confident they will be addressed to Water's Edge satisfaction as the design?
Yes, they won't. Water's Edge is very good about being an advocate for us as the owner. I mean, they are again very good, not shy about that. I really enjoy working with Michael Fisher, who's their architect or their engineer.
Good. The other question I had was with the change order with the additional 15 days. What's the reasoning for that?
Part
The
of it.
explanation for the delay, because I hope it's not 15 days because of the crane they didn't have.
So part of it is weather, part of it is the crane. And I think we had a lot of internal discussion with the architect team, design team, and Graphite.
Mhm.
Would they have been able to acquire a crane within a day? So we erred on kind of the side of, hey, 5 days is reasonable. They did have the cold snap there, so they couldn't
Right.
operate any equipment. So that's where the additional days
Okay.
came from. They actually asked for more than that.
Okay,
And we said,
thank you.
no.
Yep.
Initially, they said, "Oh, we're not going to ask for any days with the crane," and I just kind of rolled my eyes, and Tom knows. I just rolled my eyes, like, yeah, right. Put that in writing then, and we did push back and said, "Look, you said you weren't going to ask for any more days. What gives?" And I think once you really get into it, they wouldn't have been. I mean, 3 days would have been pushing it to find a crane. 5, pretty fair.
Well, to find one and get one mobilized in here and everything,
Right.
I get
And
that.
once I got it here-
And that was the reason I asked the question. I just wanted to make sure that, I mean, because I could have seen him asking for 2 or 3 weeks just for the crane itself, and I don't buy that.
I would have lost my mind. I mean,
Okay,
what they
thank-
were
and I knew
asking
you
for
would.
was I think a little unrealistic, and maybe that was just the kind of the negotiation piece of it. But
Mhm.
what I keep saying to them, and a lot of this is to try to avoid liquidated damages,
Right.
and we've all had conversations. The liquidated damages aren't as important to us as a
good
good,
project,
solid,
yeah.
quality project.
Yeah.
And I don't care about the $500 a day. We just don't cut any corners. This thing has to last 60 to 100 years. Let's do it right. Let's do it right the first time. That's what we're shooting for.
Right. No, thank you.
Other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Gates,
Yes.
Burnett,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Dross,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Odison,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Gets us to the end of our regular agenda. Report on items from city staff, city manager, anything?
I do not have any.
Okay, city clerk, anything?
no, sir.
Okay, city attorney?
No, thank you.
Okay, then we'll move on around the table. Diane, how about you?
No, not tonight, thank you.
Okay, Bob?
No, sir, thank you.
Joe?
No.
Scotty?
No, thank you.
Okay, Doug?
Just a comment. I was in Cedar Rapids over the weekend and just ran into a gentleman, and he wanted to know where I was from. I said Oskaloosa, and he started telling me about that there's going to be a huge number of Mustang cars converging on our city in early June. He said parked out at the old Walmart. Oskaloosa Engineering car show. Neat thing.
Oh, cool.
But where I was going with that is, he said when they call, he must be on a group that forms it or whatever. When he commented about calling and working with the city and getting set up whatever they need to do because they're having food trucks or whatever it is, he was just extremely complimentary of how easy our team was to work with, and they must go to different cities each year. He said it's not always the case, and so if Saturday's of June 5th, maybe that's the date. Whatever it was, he was just very complimentary, and so I'd like to just pass that along to whoever our staff was that worked with them. They represented our city well.
That's good.
Okay. Very good.
Good work.
That's all I have.
Tom?
Diane, can I ask you what the baby's name is?
It's a long one. Swedes have a tradition of 2 middle names. So her first name is Quinn, 2 middle names, Olivia Monet, and her last name is Kleinmeyer.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Thank you for
Kleinmeyer.
sharing. Beautiful, beautiful.
Her stroke sister knows her name very well and can write it all out, so it's not, it's not that you can't overcome that.
Wow, okay. Anything else, Tom?
No,
Okay, how about you, Steve?
I'm fine, thank you.
I've got nothing to add as well. So with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.